Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is my post-fibroid surgery video. So as I said in the first video, pre-surgery, I would come back and do a series of kind of like my recovery and where I'm at and how I'm recovering and how the surgery went and all of that jazz. So I'm here to do just that. So let's see, where do I start? I will preface this by saying that my surgery was interesting. Just, you know, stay there. My surgery, don't stay there, but remember that my surgery was interesting. I'm going to go through like a time lapse of how everything kind of evolved and, you know, how everything went that day, and then my hospital stay, and then how I've been doing now that I am officially in recovery, how the incision is doing, how I'm feeling, and all of that. So, as I said before, my surgery was scheduled for June 20th. We had to be at the hospital at 5:30. My surgery was scheduled to be performed at 8 a.m. So yeah, that's 5:30 a.m. in the morning is when we had to be there. So we went to the hospital. I was very familiar with like the admissions and where I needed to check in and all of that because I had been to the hospital for my pre-surgery registration process. So I knew all of like where I needed to go and all of that. So when we arrived, they checked me in. We had what I would call like a greeter. She was a really sweet lady who had greeted me and my husband and my mom and was like told us how the process would work and how she would take us downstairs to the operating room where I would get, you know, changed and kind of set up, and then like the process for my husband and my mom as they waited for me to get out of surgery. So once I checked in, the lady came and she escorted us downstairs, which was like the pre-op room. And in that room, they do a series of different tests. They take your blood pressure, they do some blood work, some lab work, and all of that. And then they, she walked us through like the time lapse of how everything would go. And she told my husband and my mom, hey, you guys will have to leave at this time, and then you wait in the waiting room for her, and then we'll come and give you updates and so forth. So during this time, I was very emotional. Not that it had just hit me, but it was just, you know, really scary. As I said before, I was nervous going into it. I've never had major surgery, so it was just, you know, kind of scary for me. So when my mom and husband were there, of course I cried, and then they said their goodbyes. We said a prayer. You know, we had to go to the Lord in prayer. I had been praying all the way up to it. But then my husband, my mom, and I, and then we called my Uncle Robert, and he said a prayer over me for surgery to go well. And I know all during the process when I had come to this point when I knew I wanted to have the surgery, you know, I had been, you know, talking with God, walking with God, and every time I would doubt it, I could always hear God say, I got you. I got you. I got you. Like I had comfort in the fact that I knew I was going to come out on the other end. Although it was really scary, my faith made me know that I was going to come out on the other end. So, let's see. So, after my husband and my mom left, I was there in the room by myself, like kind of in the little pre-op waiting room, I guess you could call it. The lady was really nice who helped me. I had a few visits. The anesthesiologist came to me and kind of told me what they were going to do and the kind of medicine they would administer, kind of asked me how I was feeling and things of that nature. And then my surgeon, my GYN, Dr. Carter came in and she spoke with me, and that's when I cried again, and she was like, it's gonna be fine. She also told me she had me, and she's like, it's gonna be fine, you're gonna be fine. So she was like, no tears, you know, and I was still crying. I was very emotional. So that's all that was happening in the beginning. And then finally they like wheeled me into the operating room, and that was interesting. And I remember them saying like some words to me, and I maybe talked to them for like maybe about a minute or two, and then I was out. That's all I remember. Like I think they said a few words to me, and then that's all I remembered in the operating room. And there was a whole team of people in the operating room. So when I went for my pre-op visit with my doctor, she said that it would be her in the operating room as well as her assistant. It would be a blood team. So basically it's the team that what they can do is, as I was bleeding, they could like recycle that blood to get back into my body, so that they recycled my own blood. So it was a blood team in the room, a blood doctor with her, and then there was also like the anesthesiologist team. So it was 3 teams in the room during my surgery. Now, what happened during the surgery, I could not tell you. I was out. I know that I woke up and it was around, I think, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Mind you, remember what I said, my surgery was scheduled for 8 a.m. So I woke up around 5 o'clock in the afternoon and I was in ICU. Yes, you heard me correctly. The intensive care unit. That's where I woke up in. And my mom and my husband was there. And then I saw like some of my husband's family members, like his sisters, and then his aunt and uncle. And I was like, wait a minute, what's going on? Why are all of these people here? You know, like, people knew I was having surgery, but I wasn't expecting them to come to the hospital. So I knew instantly that something wasn't quite right. And my mom was like, yeah, you're in ICU. And I was like, how did I get in ICU? Mind you, I'm still weak, so I'm not very alert. You know, I'm still kind of out of it. But I kept asking her, how did I get in ICU? How did I get in ICU? And she said I had this puzzled look on my face, you know, like I had started to worry, which I did. I mean, you go in for your normal surgery and then you wake up in ICU. Of course you're going to worry about why you're in ICU. So it turned out that while I was in surgery, my doctor removed 70 fibroids. Yes, you heard me correctly. 70. She said she removed 70 fibroids from my uterus. During the course of her doing that, I guess I lost a lot of blood. And she was trying to stitch me up and, you know, so that I wouldn't continue to lose blood. But I guess she wasn't doing it quick enough. So they ended up having to give me blood transfusions. I need to go back. When I go back to my doctor, I'll ask her, and when I do another video, kind of like a follow-up video, I'll tell you. I can't remember quite how many liters of blood I was given, but I had to get blood transfusions, and I also had to get plasma, which is the brown thing that kind of thickens your blood up. So yes, I lost an excessive amount of blood and had to be given blood transfusions, and that's why I ended up in ICU. I knew that blood loss was a potential complication for the surgery, largely because if you remember what I said earlier in my last video, as a woman with fibroids, you lose a lot of blood during your menstrual cycle because you're bleeding heavily. So because of that, you're already anemic. And going into the surgery, you know, you're going to lose additional blood while you're being operated on. I also think that the fact that I had so many fibroids for her to remove also increased my chances for this excessive blood loss. So I had excessive blood loss and I had to get blood transfusions, and that's how I ended up in ICU. So my first time in ICU was not terrible. I remember when I kind of woke up, I wasn't in a lot of pain. I don't remember being in like extreme pain. I just remember being very confused. I think the whole ICU thing kind of threw me off, so it kind of maybe masked any pain I could have been feeling, but I don't remember being in a lot of pain when I woke up. So in the ICU that evening, I had a really good nurse. I don't remember her name, but she was like probably the best nurse I had throughout my entire hospital stay. And she actually ended up removing, I had a central line in my neck, which is what they give you when they want the blood or whatever infusion they're giving you to go directly into your veins. It's a bigger line than what you get in a normal IV. So that was in my neck, and I think I actually may end up getting a scar from them when it was removed, because it's healing, but it's kind of healing and leaving a mark. So yeah, I may end up getting a scar from that. So I had a central line, and I remember her that night, she removed that central line, and then they told me, they were like, oh well, in the morning, depending on how you're doing, you know, you'll be moved to another room, like a regular room. So they only kept me in ICU for that one night, just for monitoring me and everything. One thing I do remember is that my heart rate was still really high. I kept looking at the little monitor, and it was like my heart rate was like 119, 120, and you know, that's like resting. Your resting heart rate is supposed to be between, anything lower than 100 is kind of normal. So I think about from 70 to 100 is like a normal resting heart rate, and mine was at 125 resting. So they were a little concerned about that as well. So in the morning, I got moved to another room, which was like the regular room, and this is where I began like the rest of my recovery. And I won't go through each day, but I ended up staying a total of 4 days in the hospital. And so I got there on Wednesday, and then I was released on Sunday. So I spent 4 nights in the hospital. During my stay, I had different tests. I know every night they would come and take blood from me and kind of test that. I don't remember what test they were doing. I think they were just making sure like the blood was fine and everything. I also had an echo done on my heart, which is an ultrasound of the heart. I've had a few of those done before because they were concerned again about the high heart rate, like that my heart was beating so fast. And then they also ended up giving me another bag of blood because she was saying, oh, your heart is beating so fast, maybe you just need another liter of blood, because I think before they gave me that liter, my blood count was at an 8. Then they gave me a liter and my blood count was back at like a 10, which is what I went in at. I went in with a blood count of 10. So, and that slowed it down a little bit. I think they brought my heart rate down to like 109-ish or so. I do remember on the second day, like they were definitely like encouraging me to walk. They were like, you gotta get up, you gotta walk, you gotta move. That's how your bowels and the gas and all that stuff is gonna get to moving in your stomach and your abdominal area. So you gotta get up, you gotta walk. And I also remember my doctor saying that in my pre-op visit, she was like, the biggest thing that's gonna help you is being as mobile as you can after your surgery. So they had like this long corridor in the hallway, so I would walk that. I'll do a loop around that. The first day I could only do like 1 loop, and I was like tired and winded and breathing hard, and it was hard to get out of the bed. And the first time I did that, but each day I can say I saw myself getting stronger and stronger, and being able to do to the point where that last day, that Saturday or that Sunday morning, I was able to do 2 laps around that whole corridor. And the nurses were all like, oh, you're doing really good, you know, you're walking, you're walking fast, and you know, you're getting around, you're getting about. And it was a lot of it was also mental, because I remember what my doctor said, and you know, their encouragement. I was like, you know, I want to be able to, you know, make my recovery, you know, as good as possible, so I don't want to sit in this bed if I need to get up and walk. And granted, it was painful. It was painful, but I got up and I did it. The pain medicine that I was on is oxycodone. Okay, I may be pronouncing it wrong, but I'll put it up here on the screen. So yeah, that's the pain medicine I had, and it made me feel kind of loopy. So I actually stopped taking that on Sunday. Like, I think I had 1 dose in the hospital, and then I didn't take any more when I was in the hospital, just because it made me feel weird. I'm just looking down at my phone because I had like a list of notes that I kind of want to go over. So yeah, my total stay in hospital was 4 days. They were concerned about my heart rate, so they watched that. Sunday, my doctor came and visited me too. Sunday, when my doctor came and visited me, she was like, you know, are you ready to leave? She was like, I mean, I want to release you. The echo came back, it was normal. So when they read the results from the echo, that came back normal. And she was like, but your heart rate is still, you know, kind of high. She was like, I'm going to try to give you this beta blocker and see if that reduces it. So she gave me a beta blocker, which helped, and it brought my heart rate under 100. And she gave me a prescription for that beta blocker. And she was like, okay, well, I'm going to release you to go home, because I told her I had issues with having tachycardia, which is like a really fast heart rate. But that's always been attributed to my anxiety. Like I said before, I've had echoes done on my heart before, so that was not something that I wasn't, you know, aware of. And I was like, this is like a huge deal, so my anxiety is probably out this roof. And I was like, that's probably what's causing my heart rate to be so fast. And she was like, you know your body. She was like, we've done the echo, we've done the EKG. They also did the EKG. We've done the EKG. Those have come back normal, so I'm going to release you. And I was so ready to go, because I think the nurses saw how strong I was getting, and they were kind of like not being very responsive to me. But again, I told you, my strength was driven mainly from like a mental place. Like, I was still in a lot of pain, but I knew that I needed to get up and walk and, you know, be mobile. So I was doing that because I knew I needed to do that. But I was still in a lot of pain. And I would call the nurses. It'll take them a while to come. One time they forgot. They weren't even emptying the pan that was in the bathroom for me to use, because they was also monitoring how much liquid and, you know, pee I was putting out and everything. So I was just like, I was ready to go. Like, I was ready to be home. Initially, my husband was like, he was ready for me to go too. But when they were talking about my heart rate, I was like, well, I don't want to leave, because if this is where I need to be to get the best care, this is where I want to be. But after I got the clearance with the echo and with the EKG, I was like, okay, well, if those are all fine, then I want to go home. And my doctor let me go home. So I went home on Sunday. So 4 days after, what about Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Yeah, 4 days after I had checked in on Wednesday, I went home Sunday. And it was rough. Very, very, those first few days were very rough. One, because I did not get my appetite back until that Saturday night. So they tell you in the hospital, oh, you need to, pass gas, pass gas. And that's their sign that your bowels have woken up and your, everything is functioning down there as it needs to be. So, once that didn't really happen for me, they gave me an enema, and then it started, waking up or whatever. So Saturday night was the first night my stomach actually growled. My mom and my husband were like fussing at me. They're like, you need to eat, you need to eat, you need to eat. And I'm like, I do not have an appetite. And the doctor even said, she said, don't force yourself to eat, because if you force yourself to eat, then that's going to cause you to be nauseated. I did end up vomiting a few times while I was there. Like, just my stomach was not right. So when I went home, it still was not right. But the thing that was hard for me is because I had an appetite at this point, but could not eat. So after like Monday and everything, Monday and Tuesday, my stomach kind of began to settle. I called the advice line, and they told me to do a bland diet. So she was like, things that are kind of bulk up in your stomach. So like bread, rice, very mild. I was eating chicken noodle soup, very mild things that kind of bulk up in your stomach and not cause any irritation to your stomach. So that's what I did. And then so by Wednesday I could eat like my normal food. Wednesday, I say Wednesday, Thursday-ish, I could eat like a normal food. And at that point, that's a week after my surgery. So it did take a while for like my digestive system and my stomach to kind of recoup and everything. But after that happened, I've been fine ever since, and I haven't had any like issues with my stomach. So when I got home, I was very conscious about also making sure I stayed mobile and moving and everything. So during the day when I was like sitting, I made sure I wore my compression socks. So go back to the first video and you'll see kind of things I did to prepare myself for the surgery. I brought these compression socks. And so I made sure I kept those on during the day when I was sitting, and of course at night when I slept. Then every day, because I was upstairs and I didn't want to keep going up and down the stairs, I would do a lap, 6 laps around my upstairs, just to make sure I got my exercise in. And so I'll tell you, when I first started doing the laps, it would take me about 10 minutes to get around 6 times up my upstairs. By the time I was fully like back to moving a little bit at my normal speed, it took me 6 minutes. So I went from 10 to 6, and I just timed it just to kind of see like my improvement and how that went. And I could tell when I was like back at my normal, not my normal, I'm not gonna say normal, because when I get further in the video I'll explain that, but I don't know when I'm going to get feeling back to my normal self, because I have all these issues post-surgery that I've noticed. So it's been kind of weird. So I was back to, I would say, like a steady rate, instead of like it was hurting and being very painful for me to get up kind of rate. Is how I was gauging that. So I did that 3 times a day, in the morning, at lunch, and in the evening, just to make sure I got those walks in. So if you total that, initially I was walking 30 minutes a day, but in 10 minutes increments at a very slow speed. So then other things that I noticed like post recovery is I don't know if I have small veins, but I have and I still have soreness in my wrist up where they injected me with the IV. And I looked online and kind of read that, and they said it's going to take a few weeks for you to heal. Just like you heal, the incision to heal, it's going to take that same amount of time, around that same amount of time for your IV and stuff. Because when you think about it, they're like injuring your vein to get the IV in there, so it kind of makes sense. And then also I had a lot of soreness in my forearms and everything, but those are gone. I don't really have that anymore. I just have the soreness at my wrist. And then also I told you about this, where the central line was, where I was injected with the central line for the IV, the big IV there. It looks like I'm going to get a scar there. I noticed that. And then also I have like my incision and abdominal stuff going on there as well. So one thing I will say that I started looking at like my incision and everything, and Sunday, so a week from when I was released, it looked like it was like had a discharge, like some pus and stuff. So I was kind of concerned, and I ended up going to the Kaiser urgent care to have the doctor look at it, and he said it was mildly infected. And when he said mildly, he meant on a scale from 1 to 10, he would say it was a 1. So he gave me an ointment to put on, and I had to apply that ointment 3 times a day. And he also gave me some antibiotic pills, but he said only to take those if I didn't see the infection getting better. I didn't see the wound getting better. And so that was a week ago now, because this is I'm recording this on Sunday, so a week from when I went to the doctor to get the incision looked at. Oh, sorry, I should have said this at the beginning of the video. So I am a total of 18 days post-operation, post my surgery. So it'll be 3 weeks on this coming Wednesday. I'm filming this Sunday. So 2 weeks from when I was released from the hospital. So I did have that scare with my wound, and then because of that, I've been monitoring my incision very, very closely. I think I'm getting anxiety. I've had some anxiety about it, but I'm leaving it alone. I'm making sure I'm cleaning it and everything, and just checking and making sure nothing looks crazy with it. My concern about it is that I'm not a doctor, so I don't know what's crazy and what's not crazy, and if it's healing normally. But I try to check it. I don't try to check it. I check it every day and kind of look at it and make sure. And then when I'm in the shower, I kind of wash it gently with soap. I don't scrub it or anything, but I just wash it gently with soap and then get out the shower. How am I doing overall? Overall, I can say that I'm doing okay. I am definitely not 100% at myself. I would say I'm probably at about 70%. And I keep reminding myself that I have to take it slow. So I think because I was in pretty decent health pre-surgery, like getting up and walking for me is normal. So I haven't like tired out, but my body gives me symptoms that I'm not healed. Like I'm far from being healed. Like I think it's going to take me the full 6 weeks to be at 100%. Because for an example, yesterday we took my nephew to the outlets, and I walked up the little like stores, and you know, if you know an outlet, you know that that's like a big like area for the store, and it's a lot of walking that you have to do in outlets. So I walked down to a store and then got in the store and was very winded, and then my stomach was kind of tightening up, and I was like, I need to sit down. So I sat down. Then I got up and looked for clothes and everything, and then the line was long, and so I told my nephew, I was like, could you please stand in line for me? And I sat down while he stood in line. So when I say I'm at a 70%, I actually may be at 65. That's kind of stuff I normally wouldn't have to do. So yes, I know that I am still definitely recovering, and I am giving my body as much time as it needs to do just that, recover, and making sure I'm not doing anything too strenuous or crazy. Okay, now let's see. So again, like the road ahead, I don't really know what that looks like. I can say that each day I do feel myself getting a bit stronger, and that has been very good to see, and it gives me like the extra push to know that I am doing well, and I am, you know, definitely on my way to recovery. So this is what my stomach is looking like post-surgery. This is the front view, the side view, and the other side view. She did end up doing the vertical incision. Remember I said before in the other video I didn't know if she was going to do the vertical or horizontal. She did the vertical because this is going to give her, this gave her better access because my fibroids set up high. And like, okay. So I think I went over everything. I showed you guys my stomach. I talked about the incision, which is I ended up getting the vertical incision. I will also tell you that pre-surgery I weighed 180 pounds. I weighed myself just this morning and I weighed 163 pounds. I I cannot say that I've seen like a great difference in like my body mass weight. I believe that was 100% related to the fibroids. So yeah, my weight loss is 100% attributed to the fibroids. Because like I said, although I didn't have appetite for around a week or so, I have been eating pretty much my regular diet, and lack thereof, because I haven't really been dieting or anything. So yeah, so I've been eating pretty regular, and I am at 163 pounds. So that is 17 pounds that I've lost post surgery. So almost 20 pounds. But when you think about the amount of fibroids I had removed, I think that makes sense, that I have lost so much weight. Also, fibroids are very dense muscle mass, so they're very heavy as well. So the fact that I had so many removed makes sense that I am now down 17 pounds. So yeah, I think that's it. I'll check back in about a week or so and kind of let you guys know how I'm doing. Thanks for watching. Bye.